welcome into the Lion Digital Network First Bank Coaches Show. Ray Pike here, along with men's head basketball coach Drew Stutts. Well, Coach, how you doing today? First of all, we'll get that out of the way.
Doing good. Glad to be back at home. We've been on the road till we got back on Sunday. I think we've been back for on the road for 7 out of 9 nights. So I'd gone to the show there in Kingsport, and then been on the road. So it's just good to be home for a little while.
Well, we're glad we're back home. I know we will preview the upcoming home schedule in our second segment, but first of all, we need to talk about as we come into this year. I know we're already a little bit into the season, 10 games in, but out of those first 10 games, what were your expectations? What impact players did you have that you were looking for, and let the folks know what you think about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming off of a really good season last year, making the national tournament for the first time since I've been head coach, and I guess probably in almost 10 years. You know, we wanted to build off of that success last year. We knew that we were going to be losing a lot in guys like Cortland Martin and Wanye and Jeremiah and some of those guys that have been here. But we didn't want to think, hey, we've lost some seniors, so we're going to take a step back. We knew we had some good pieces here. We knew we were bringing some good pieces in. And, the expectation is kind of our theme for the year, if you want to say, is elite is earned. And we want to take that step from being a good program to an elite top 25 program. And I think up to this point, we've moved in that direction. There's still a lot of work to be done. It's still very early in the season, but knew we had some really good freshmen coming in, brought in a couple of transfers that were going to be good for us. So that kind of supplementing the core group of guys we were bringing back, expectations were pretty high.
All right. Well, I know you brought in a fifth-year player, Brandon, came in out of Bryan College. I've been very impressed with him. Heard several people make comments. He is a true workhorse down in the post, and you don't play a true post offense.
Sure.
So, but he does the work down low, and I think we're going to expect good things, big things out of him. Really. So, do you have a focus for him, or are you going to continue to do as you've done in the past, spread it around?
No, we're spreading it around. I mean, the nice thing is Brandon can go get a bucket when you need him to get one. I mean, he's a guy that comes in that I think he's already got over 1,500 career points. Last year he shot over 60% from the field. He's a really versatile player that can beat you from the mid-range, can put it on the floor, can get you deep in the post, and use his size and physicality. But the nice thing about this team, up to this point has just been how versatile we've been. We really have more of a balanced inside-out attack. I know a lot of folks think because we've been really good at shooting in the past that is what I'm all about. And when you shoot it, that's what you do. But at the same time, I think our team this year is just a much more balanced team. I think right now we've got 7 guys who are averaging between 9 and 12 points a game. We're still averaging 82 points a game right now. And we're top 10 in field goal percentage in the nation, and that's out of almost 250 teams. So the balance there of having a guy like Brandon who can score, but also Hunter and Riley and Geraldo and some of these freshmen that we brought in, there's a good balance there. So we want to be balanced. We want to have an inside-out attack, but we know, if Brandon touches the ball, there's a good chance he's probably either going to create a good one for himself or for somebody else.
All right, Coach, we come into this week, our home game Thursday night at 8-2. Early season, you traveled down to Faulkner. You played the Faulkner Eagles down there. You lost that game, but that is a Faulkner team that's in the current poll ranked number 11. And then your other loss came at home against LSU Alexandria, which was a very athletic, up and down the floor type team.
Sure.
I know when they came in, they were scoring like 99 points a game. You did hold them under their average, by the way. So, but what can you take from those 2 losses to build to the future?
Probably the biggest thing in those games that has changed over the last 7, we've won our last 7, is probably just taking care of the ball. We were doing a pretty good job defensively in the half court against Faulkner, against LSU, Alexandria. But if you look, those first 3 games, we're working in 2 freshman point guards, and those are big responsibilities for those young guys. And so game at Faulkner, back and forth game. They made a big push there at the end of the first half, but I mean, it's a 1-point game with 2.5 minutes to go against a team that returns basically everyone except one player from a Sweet 16 team last year. And Scott Sanderson, Jake Mitchell both do a great job. So that was a great test for us early. LSU Alexandria here turned the ball over 23 times, still score 90 points. And so us turning the ball over created a lot of opportunities for them to get easy buckets in transition. Over these last 7 games, our average turnovers has been only 10 a game. So it was almost 20 through those first 3. Those point guards and other guys have kind of settled into their roles a little bit better. So we've taken the ball, taken care of the ball better. That's probably the biggest thing. And, defensively, we're starting to build some team chemistry on the floor. It's not just guys playing hard individually, but really playing hard and together as a unit on the defensive end.
Well, you mentioned 2 freshman point guards. It is kind of hard to replace a Cortland Martin.
It is.
And I believe those 2 guys have performed well. Of course, Quan is a redshirt freshman right out of Bolivar, Tennessee, and so I've been pleased with them, and I'm pretty sure that the people that have talked with me have been happy with the type of basketball they've been seeing.
Sure.
Let's go back to the weekend. Went to Campbellsville, and then you went to Lindsey Wilson, and that game was a very tight-knit game. Ended up winning 62-60, I believe was the final score. And it just came down to your defense doing the job there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it were 2 games we did not shoot the ball well in. Both of those games, as far as from the 3-point line, we shot the ball really poorly. And some of that was credit to them and their defense, but didn't shoot it that well. Didn't really have anybody offensively play overly well. Brandon was out both of those games with a little ankle injury. So, to find a way on the road in a tough environment, Campbellsville on a Thursday at Campbellsville is different than any other time. They have a great home environment during the weekday. For us to just find a way to be tough, to sit down, to guard, really just speaks to the versatility of our team. Again, we can beat you in a lot of ways, averaging 80 a game, but also even when we're not scoring the ball, when we're guarding like that, we can still find a way to win when we're not playing our best on the offensive end.
Well, that's a look at the first half of the season. Coach Stutts and I will be right back here on the First Bank Coaches Show on the Lion Digital Network.
At First Bank, we tell our customers to bank local and get more. But everyone's more is different. Is yours more adventure? More space? More education? Or work that's more you? We always say bank local, get more. More product range, more accessible bankers, and a whole lot less standing in your way. Whatever your more, you can.
And we welcome you back into the First Bank Coaches Show. Ray Pack and Coach Drew Stutts here. Coach, you got 2 big ones coming up this week. First off, the Phoenix from Cumberland out of Lebanon come in. They're ranked number 24 in the country. What are your expectations about that matchup?
Cumberland's really good. Jeremy Lewis, head coach there, does a great job. They have a lot of guys that can play. He plays a lot of guys. They're really big, really athletic, really strong. Great defensive team, can score the ball. I think their overall record right now is maybe 6-4, but they've lost Marion, UT Southern, a couple teams that are top 25 are really good teams, and it's going to be a tough matchup. It will definitely be a physical game, a game where we're going to need to play really well, and hopefully we can find a way to win.
You mentioned Coach Lewis. Back before he became the men's basketball coach, he was the women's basketball coach there at Cumberland, and he always did the same thing then, always kind of a platoon system, 5 in, 5 out, and he had always had a deep bench, so that's kind of expected there. Cumberland, it comes in 3-2 in conference, so it will be a challenge for them to come in and try to do that. But
their other loss was to Thomas More. So you've got
that's number one
in the nation. Marion's top 10, and then UT Southern's a really good team as well.
So you've got those guys. Who is the player that our fans need to keep an eye out for in that game?
I really don't. I'd like to tell you that they have a key guy, but they're very, very similar to us. I mean, they have a lot of guys. They got 5 or 6 guys that are all between, 9, 13, 14 points. So they can beat you in a variety of ways. It's not going to be one of these games we come in and really study a guy. I mean, they have a lot of pieces coming back from a team that went to national tournament and won a game last year. They wound up losing to Talladega, who wound up being the runner-up in the nation. And it was a close game. So, I mean, they're bringing back a really good team. They're definitely a top 25 caliber team. And we're going to have to play a complete game. It's not going to be just keying on one area of the game.
Well, I guess I'll go back to what you said earlier in the first segment. The big thing is controlling the basketball and turnovers.
Sure.
That'll
Gotta take care of the ball.
That'll
Yeah,
either win a lot of games or lose a lot of
Sure.
games. All right, so then on Saturday, we travel up the road to Pulaski, and we take on that UT Southern team that you were talking about. When you go to Pulaski, every time I've ever been there, and from every coach I've ever talked to, it's like walking into the deep freeze. Does that cold temperature have an impact on us any at all, do you think?
I think if you're not expecting it, it could. But us knowing it's going to be a little cool in there shouldn't be an issue. So.
Everybody tries to have that home court advantage.
Sure.
And I guess that's what they try to do. Well, as we think about UT Southern, what are you looking for as far as what they're going to try to do?
They've got a lot of returners as well. So they've got the same starting 5 they had last year, and they finished, I think, top 4, top 3 in the conference last year. Went to the national tournament, but I mean they got 3 guards who are really good: Kavion Hancock, Darian Hudson, Cam Welch. All those guys can shoot it, can beat you off the bounce. They got a stretch 4, Brady Brown, who's been really efficient from 3. Has really developed over his time at UT Southern. And then they got some guys on the inside that are really just, those guys that hustle and play hard and do the dirty work. So they're a very complete team. Went to Thomas More, really close game, single-digit game with Thomas More. They actually, I don't know if you know this, they actually beat Samford University, a Division I school down in Birmingham, just a couple of weeks ago. So they beat them 84-82 on the road. And so it just speaks to, their ability to beat a lot of different teams in a lot of different ways. I know against Cumberland, who we're about to play, they went 14 of 28 from the 3-point line. So they can really beat you off the bounce or shoot it from 3. And it'll be another game we'll have to play really well.
So that's a challenge for you to come up with a game plan to try to offset that. So it sounds to me like both of these two teams are going to be not one individual.
No,
they don't
they're
count on
complete
one.
teams.
If one doesn't, they're going to kick it over. Somebody else is going to take advantage of that. So, well, we wish you good luck in both of those games. We will carry Thursday night game on the Lion Digital Network. Women tip-off at 5:30, and then the men generally about 30 minutes or so following that. I'm going to close with this, and Dustin and I have talked about this numerous times. The Mid-South Conference, truly the SEC of the NAIA, probably the toughest conference in the NAIA, and it's always been that way, and it just makes our athletic program stronger.
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's what you want. If you really want to compete for championships, you want to find out where you actually line up on a national, scale, and you get to do that in the Mid-South. I mean, you're going to play, 4 or 5 top 25 teams twice throughout the year. So, if you can finish top 4, top half of your conference every year in the Mid-South, you got a really good program. If you can find a way to win it, you probably got an elite program and got a chance to win national championships. So really for us, it just gives us a good indicator of where we're at nationally. And that's what we want. We want to compete for championships. We want to see where we actually fit. Last year we played in 240 teams. We played the 7th strength of schedule in the entire nation. So that just speaks to the level of competition we're playing night in and night out.
All right, Coach, we appreciate your time on the First Bank Coaches Show, and we'll be back next week with another episode of the Coaches Show. Next week, we'll probably have Coach Epperson back on. We're going to try to rotate every other week. If that'll work your schedule, help you out, we'll try to do that. Until next week, I'm Ray Pack for Coach Drew Stutts. Thanks for tuning in.